a few ideas for public service announcements that were very, very different than anything that's been going on. And I thought, because see, the thing about directing features, I've now directed pretty much two entire features, and a lot of second unit stuff, and a lot of stunt unit stuff, that I don't really have the pleasure in it that most folks seem to, only because there's so many other things that I'm doing in my life, and most of all my family, that if to properly do a feature, you prepare for a year, you shoot for anywhere from 3 months to a year, and you're in post-production anywhere from 3 months to six months or more in some features. So you're really talking of at least 2 years out of your life, where everything you're doing centers around that production. And all it takes, and it's not in your control. Unless you're, even Stanley Kubrick, Stanley died and they wanted to recut his film immediately. Now, how cold is that? And certainly as an entry-level director, in a sense, you really don't even have the option. The producers have the final cut. And the terrible thing is, it's sometimes the producer's niece or her boyfriend who ends up doing the final cut, or the rewrite on the script, it is a kind of a harrowing thing to put that much of yourself, that much of your life into a project, to see it suddenly kind of destroyed because of an argument between the money guy, who's the father, and this happened to me on Ice Run, the film I did in Russia, and the producer, who was really the son of the money man. And we'd get going, and then the father would show up and kind of lord it over everybody, and then tell the kid, sorry, no more money, and walk away. And we'd all be left there like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And it's a terrible thing, because they had a personal kind of a little dance they were doing, but in the meantime, we're in the middle of a revolution, we're in the middle of Siberia, we're in the middle of making a film, and it was like stopping and starting and struggling. Anyway, so all of a sudden I started thinking, what a wonderful form, this shortened kind of PSA. A lot of people are doing music videos now, and there are people who creatively, with commercials, you can do a similar thing. The problem is, though, with music videos, you've got your rap band who's telling you what they want, or telling you what they want. And with commercials, you've got the sponsor who's, got the clipboard and the people looking over your shoulder. Well, we move that over there so it's more, And those are the compromises in a way that take a lot of the fun out of it. Anyway, so with a PSA, you got none of that. It's very interesting. So anyway, I went to Rusty, and I pitched these ideas. And I'll tell you, I'm working on the first one right now. And I'll tell you two of them, just so you get an idea of how bizarre my mind is. Imagine the most beautiful image of dolphins underwater that you can, with sunlight shafting through crystalline blue-green water. Well, first of all, let me tell you, the phrase, the slogan that I came up with was, do you believe in magic? Come be part of something wonderful, California State Parks. And it came from a time, actually, I'll tell you really quickly, a little sidebar. My daughter Ty used to be scared of the dark. So what I started doing was, when she was really little, I'm still a little scared of the dark myself. So what I started doing was I'd take her outside at night, and I'd sit cross-legged, and she was a little kid, would wrap her legs around me, and we'd sit there and we'd just talk until the conversation sort of got, that it was dark and nothing was happening, and we were talking little by little. She forgot it was scary. And one night, and this is one of my more prime father moments, I looked at her and I said, and we were talking about believing in magic. It's her. And I said to her, something wonderful is going to happen. I have no idea, out of the blue, I have no idea why I said it or what motivated me. And all of a sudden, and she'd never seen a shooting star, the shooting star goes across the entire sky. And she looked at me. The sidebar to the sidebar is about 6 months later, I was telling this story. We were shooting a film, the name of which I can't remember. But what we did, with the experience and the people I do, it was interesting because we were a whole bunch of trucks, and we were driving from LA to San Francisco and shooting the film on that trip. And we were in a famous restaurant called Nepenthe in Big Sur. And we were sitting, waiting, and looking at the beautiful ocean and the full moon and the cliffs at night and everything. And we'd been shooting all day. And because we were traveling like this band of gypsies, we'd gotten pretty close. So I'm telling this story about, something wonderful going to happen like that to some of my friends in the crew. And as I got to the part where something wonderful was, and another comet went across the sky like that, and there were groups of people all around, and everybody started applauding. So you can understand how occasionally I get a little full of myself. Anyway, way back to where we were. Imagine the most beautiful image of dolphins that you can, and either a single dolphin, I'm not sure yet, or a group of dolphins. It sort of depends on the stock footage, which I've been accumulating, how it works out. And without any sense of tension or pressure, you're aware of these dolphins who are moving gracefully and beautifully, suddenly becoming aware of something off in one direction. And they start gently moving in that direction. And then what follows is a montage of all the most beautiful images of all the stock libraries, the Giddings Library, National Audubon, National Geographic, Wildlife Foundation, Dolphin Link, all the most beautiful dolphin footage that I can put together, of dolphins swimming together all in one direction, underwater, cut so that the pace builds and builds and builds. And then they come out of the water. Now we have the rest of the second part of the montage of all the most beautiful dolphin footage of dolphins on top of the water with sun and splattered water and waves and all that stuff. And then I've got some footage of dolphins coming up underneath waves, breaking waves. And underneath the waves is a very beautiful thing. And to me, a wave with backlit and translucent in the colors is one of the most beautiful things there is. Old surfer boy. California kid. But also underneath waves, the way that they break over when you're underneath looking at them is extraordinarily beautiful, and an image that very few people have seen. Anyway, so I have these dolphins swimming up underneath these waves that are breaking over, and it cuts to something that I've got quite a bit of footage on now. Not the perfect one yet. And I've seen it myself, and it's very common in surf areas with guys surfing for dolphins to surf the waves with them, either singly or a whole family of them. So anyway, you've seen this series of dolphins moving underwater, then on top of the water, and they come up underneath these waves, and it cuts to a shot of a dolphin body surfing a wave. Now, using computers with a process called morphing, that dolphin body surfing the wave morphs into me body surfing the wave. And I come and I stand up and I walk straight into camera and I say, "Do you believe in magic? Come be part of something wonderful." And there's no sound in the whole commercial, in the whole PSA, except for that last line, maybe a seagull. But it's the kind of thing I want is to have the effect of people going, "Did you see that?" And then the response being, "No, have you seen the new one?" Okay, now I'll tell you the second one. And they're all very different. That one specifically is for California State Park beaches and marine sanctuaries. And marine sanctuaries is something that I'm working very, very hard on at this point. We've tried locally to get Malibu declared a sanctuary because it's already been fished to the point where there's almost nothing left. And as we know, you kill the sea urchins and all the codfish, all the cods die. If you take all the lobsters out, then it's a balance, and that balance needs to be restored. And now in Malibu they have these weird sort of blocky boats that come in and cut the kelp, which destroys the habitat. We're filling in the wetlands that we're trying to protect, which is the sort of nursery, the birthplace of so many species. That sort of place where water and land come together is very important. Marine sanctuaries, we haven't been successful in Malibu so far. But what we're actually finding is that the road may be easier working on a bill for all of the California coast, as opposed to just Malibu, because the people in Sacramento, which is capital of the state of California, don't look too kindly on Malibu because they think, well, you guys got it all anyway. What you want more for? And they have a kind of an attitude about us. In some cases deserved, in some cases not deserved. Actually, I write a column now in the local paper called The Dolphin's Eye. And I've been counseling people to try to kind of find a middle ground, because it's been so politicized and polarized for so long that nobody wants to admit that there's any flexibility, because they're afraid if they do, it'll be taken advantage of by the other side. Anyway, the second one is for the state parks that are more traditionally conceived of. Essentially, they're the parks that are inland, and although this one, Yosemite's a national park, that kind of park.